Hi, Anna. How are you?
Hi, Maribel. I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm so excited to have you on today, girl, because we're going to talk about my favorite thing, which is food.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Who doesn't love food? You guys, to get started, before we even start, can you please share your social medias? Where can people find you?
Yes. So my name is Anna Rios. I'm a Mexican American registered dietitian, and I make healthy plant-based versions of Mexican and Latin American food on, you can find me Healthy Simple Yum all across all the social media. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube I've been slacking on, but I plan to get back on. Pinterest. And then my website where you can find all the written recipes is healthysimpleyum.com.
Yes, you guys, if you guys are watching us on YouTube or Spotify, on the video, you will see her handle somewhere in the screen. If you're just listening to us on any other platform, go to the description box. I'm going to have the links to her social medias and her website. You guys need to go check out her website because you do share like free recipes. Plus, she has a very affordable ebook, and we'll get into that, you guys. $10. It's $10, you guys. Like, it's nothing. You spend more than $10 at Starbucks every morning.
Yeah.
So please go get it. It's very easy recipes. Girl, you make it seem so easy, and it is easy. That it's like, how did I not think about this? Like, this is so simple, right?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that, because I think the nutrition world and the health world is set up to think that you have to leave your culture behind, or you have to eat Americanized versions of foods, or bland foods with lots of boring salads, and it's just not true. So that's what I do. That's why I do what I do.
Yes. So when I first came across her videos, you guys, I was like in a rut because I want to eat healthy. But it's like nowadays everything is bad for you. Beans are, they tell you beans have too much carbs, or I don't know what they were saying that beans have, that potatoes, are not too many potatoes. And I'm like, okay. And then you look at diets, and I feel like diets are set up for failure because you restrict yourself, and that's not healthy. And I've learned that you have to have, I'm so sorry for the sound, you guys, you have to have a balance. And let me know if I'm wrong, girl, but all foods are not bad. It's just how much are you having of it? And now I understand why expensive restaurants where fancy people go have like really small portions, because that's how we should be eating. We shouldn't be eating buffet style portions. But for some reason, it's been engraved in us that more food is more value, and, it's better. But in reality, it's not. And so I realized that I was eating empty meals. Like, they were just fillers for that second, but they weren't giving me any type of nutrients. I wasn't getting what my body needed. It was just something quick, kind of like chips. Like, you're just eating them, but it's like empty.
And that's what I was going to say. Like the volume of the food doesn't necessarily have to be small, because a lot of us are hungry. Like, a lot of us need a lot of food. So the portions can still look big. It's just about what you are including, right? If it's, like you said, the chips and just lots of like fried food, or, just plain carbs. Yeah, the volume does count. But let's say you have about half of your plate vegetables, and it's just nutrients in there. And then you do have your protein and you do have your carb, but in a portion that is more adequate for you. So the portion, like, sometimes I'll eat a plate that looks incredibly big, and I've had people, judge me at like parties or dinners. It's like, oh my gosh, you're going to eat all of that? But a meal can look delicious, colorful, nutritious, and with lots of volume. But if you really look into it, what is it? Oh, it's like, it's tomate, it's cebolla, aguacate, cilantro, nopales. It's actually like nutritious vegetables that are in there. But it looks amazing because it's, it's my kind of food.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. because I think that's what we miss, right? We miss, like you said, if it's just fried food, of course you're not going to want a full plate of fried food. That's it might fill you for, you know, the moment, but it's not really giving you the nutrients that your body needs. So of course your body's going to ask you for more. So to get started, girl, where are you from? Where did you grow up? Where does your family come from?
Yeah, great question. So I was born in California. I was born in Southern California in Orange County. My parents immigrated from Michoacan, Mexico. My dad was, I think, 15, 16 when he immigrated, went back. He would go back for a few months. One of those trips, he met my mom, you know, and then brought her over here. She was, at this point, he was older. He was like in his 30s, you know. They married at a later age, and they had me in Orange County. I was there for a few years, but then I grew up mostly up in the Bay Area, so like Richmond, Oakland area, Berkeley. And I mean, my dad was a gardener. Like, you know, he did people's gardens for a living. My mom did not work, and we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Richmond for most of my childhood. So I grew up going to federally qualified health centers. So we were like, you know, Medi-Cal partnership. Essentially almost poverty, right? Like low income.
Like many of us. Like many of us.
Yeah. So I feel like, you know, growing up in this type of community, I don't know. I feel like I always wanted more. I wanted to find ways to help people because I always had my tias and my tios and like just family members getting diabetes and high cholesterol. So my initial goal was like, I want to be a doctor. Like, I want to be, because it's like, you know, when you're 7, when you're 10, it's like, who helps people's health? Doctors.
Yes.
Right?
That's what we think.
Exactly. Well, they do, you know, they provide a lot of
sometimes. Yeah.
But when it comes to like, you know, when it was a point of like, okay, I have to pick a college to go to, like, okay, what do I do? And for some reason, something in my gut told me not to go straight to college out of high school. And in that year, I learned a lot. I was shadowing doctors. I realized that registered dietitian, nutritionists were a thing because I had no idea that was an option, right?
Yeah. Nobody talks about it growing up. No.
It's like teacher, nurse, doctor, lawyer. Like they don't really give us that many.
Cop.
Yeah. So then I spent that year interning and shadowing a dietitian, and I just learned so much. And I was intrigued because one of the things that she would tell me was, you are in the healthcare industry. You will be in the if this is what you pick, but you will be on the preventative side of healthcare for the most part. And, you know, helping people in the most like natural, organic way rather than, you know, giving them pills or giving them medication that's just going to mask the problem rather than prevent, solve, or like reverse the issue. Right. So that's really what got me when she said those things to me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be a registered dietitian. So then I started going to school, and there's so many science classes that we have to, you know, take. And it's incredible because you have to learn how the body works. You have to learn all about like, you know, chemistry, physiology, microbiology, our immune system. It was basically pre-med without a few math and physics classes.
Oh my God, that is so interesting. I've never asked, like, what do you, but of course you have to learn how the body works. Oh my God. Can you share something with us that you learned about the body that you were like, just like shocked about when you first learned?
So many things, but I think I'm going to pick one related to nutrition. So when in physiology, we learn about how, a better one.
Yes. Give us the best one, girl.
metabolism class. I'm literally learning about how our body breaks down energy and how it utilizes it. And you just basically learn cycles, and then you're like, how does this make sense? Basically, I learned that when we don't eat carbohydrates, our body has to change its entire metabolism, meaning it has to do a lot of work to figure out where it's going to get its main source of energy from, because carbohydrates are our main source of energy. So it has to like flip over backwards and be like, okay, well, now we have to use fat and maybe protein as energy. And it just it basically changes all the cycles, like the way that the cycles get energy from your food. And it's, people know it as ketosis. Like they go on a keto diet and they go into ketosis, and it's like, your body is just kind of going in and out of ketosis, because obviously no one can not eat carbs for a long period of time. So it's just learning how that impacts the metabolism of just our body and how our body converts food into energy was mind-blowing.
Okay, so that is kind of nice to learn, though. Can you give us like an example of healthy carbs to eat?
Yeah, so that's where, a lot of people are like, yeah, carbs are bad because, the media taught us that. And people that like to sell weird diet plans. But I want to start off by saying, because I did touch on keto and I know that's a big one. So before I talk about the carbs, I just want to say that the ketogenic diet was a medically prescribed diet for children with epilepsy. And what I just described, the way that our body metabolizes carbohydrates versus fats, and how it has to like kind of hijack itself to like change it all around, that helps kiddos that have, epilepsy, because of the way that that metabolism, the way that everything changes, helps them reduce their the amount of episodes that they have. So just wanted to get that out there. But carbohydrates are important, like for a normal person that is just looking to either lose weight, control their blood sugar, their blood pressure, all of the above, all of the metabolic diseases. Carbohydrates are so important, and there's two different types. We have complex carbohydrates, and then we have simple carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates are going to be more from like whole grains. These are the ones that come from like, whole wheat and corn and oats. Anything that has more fiber, right?
Yes.
Have you heard of fiber?
Yes.
So how do you feel like fiber helps you?
At least for me, I think it kind of like regulates, especially how many times I go to the restroom. Like it helps me like clear out my system.
Yep. So it helps with digestion. It helps you stay nice and full. So when you're eating a high fiber carb that is like nutrient dense, like let's say whole wheat bread or corn tortillas or, oatmeal, overnight oats, whatever it may be, you are staying full for longer. You are regulating your digestion. You're having nice poops. You're going to the bathroom. Versus simple carbs, we're thinking like pan dulce, like croissants, anything that is like straight up white flour, or that is a processed food that doesn't really have fiber. Maybe it has added sugar. The most simple carb that we can that I can think of right now is like sugary drinks, juices, sodas, because essentially it's just pure sugar in liquid form, which is, going directly into your system without having any type of like sustenance, like fiber, or you're not chewing it, you're drinking it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's like the purest form of like a simple sugar. And, there's so many varieties, but in general, we have complex carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates, as I like to call them, everyday carbohydrates, and then fun or once in a while carbohydrates for the simple ones.
Okay. And because I remember growing up, there was the pyramid, right? We all saw the little pyramid of like how much we need every day. Is that accurate, Anna?
So that actually got discontinued because it was not easy to understand.
Oh, okay.
It was complicated and it doesn't really make sense. Honestly, even as a dietitian, I can look at it and be like, how do I apply this? So the new and improved way to sort of, so what we did, the goal with that food pyramid is to take information that we know as like experts in nutrition and healthcare and find a way to educate the public, right?
Uh-huh.
So that didn't really work. And what they created now that I approve of and I really like is the plate method, which essentially it's a photo of a plate, and then there's a few different compartments, 3 main compartments, especially for someone that is looking to, again, either lose weight in a healthy way, combat like diabetes or anything like that.
Can I show you? I bought something and I want to see if you agree. I'm gonna have this.
Yep. That's exactly what I love to share with my patients and with my public. So how do you use that? Tell me how you apply that.
So honestly, this has helped me to add more veggies and to kind of control how much I'm eating of like carbs and meats as well, because girl, I could eat a whole steak, like I could eat a whole cow. Si me dejan, you know what I mean? Like we all love our carne asada and our tacos and all that, but I always try to have this in mind. And so even like when I'm serving myself now cereal or avenita or whatever, it also comes with like the little bowl.
Wow.
And so it reads like the portions and stuff. So I read up, and the good thing is that you can like go to their website. I bought it on Amazon. I think it was like $15, honestly. And this has helped me so much with portion control. I wasn't looking to lose weight, but I lost about 15 pounds right away when I started using this.
And I'm sure you started feeling better, like energy-wise, too.
Yes. I was getting up in the morning. Girl, I'm not a morning person. I've never been a morning person. But the reason why I said about the pyramid is I was hoping you would answer the way that you did. Because I remember being so confused as a child. It's like, you need to drink this much milk, and and it's like, how does that then translate to what my mom was cooking? Right. And my parents now, both of my parents are actually, well, my mom's vegetarian and my dad's vegan, but now they cook so much, they don't use oils, they don't use like none of that stuff. And so now they're teaching me how to kind of convert into that, and when it's appropriate and when it's not, and don't do it every day. But this has really helped. So right now, when you were describing it, I'm like, I think I'm on the right track. I feel proud of myself right now.
Yes, you are. Honestly, like you should be so proud of yourself, because that plate method is basically like, how people are like, I'm calorie counting. I'm going on this diet. I'm going on that diet. This is what works the best. This has the best results, because as long as you know what vegetables are, protein and carbs, as long as you know what foods fall into those groups, you are able to modify your food to your liking, as long as you have like about, in a general like portions that follow that plan.
And this is where your ebook and your recipes come into place, girl.
Yeah. So did you see the nutrition portion of the ebook on the back yet?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, and you got the English version, I'm assuming.
Yes. Even though I kind of wish I would have gotten the Spanish one.
I kind of want to show you. Is there a way I can show my screen? I have these handouts that I found on a very like inclusive website that I love because it shows like it's like healthy plates around the world. And something that I love to show is that, you know, healthy food, balanced food can look like anything you want it to.
Yes.
And the secret part again is like filling about half of your plate with vegetables. And it sounds, I feel like whenever I say that, just saying that simple and clear like that, a lot of people are like, oh, vegetables, you know, because we've been kind of trained to think that vegetables are bland and boring and like,
but they're not. They're so yummy.
You know, and then, but you know what I hear every time, Maribel, every time when I ask my patients, okay, what vegetables do you like? What are some of your favorites? They'll tell me broccoli, lettuce, cauliflower. It's like more, I feel like they're not thinking of our typical vegetables. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, like you don't like calabacita, nopales, pico de gallo, pepino. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I all that stuff. And I'm like, yes, like, because I think every time we're trained to think healthy eating, salads and broccoli and steamed vegetables, you know? So I think that.
No, calabacitas are delicious. Oh my God, there's so many ways that you can make calabacitas, you guys. So many different ways. It's not even funny. I love all of that. I love the zucchinis, the calabacitas, the yellow ones. Is it like yellow squash?
Yellow squash, yeah. It's
green
like a
bell peppers, like de todo hay, yeah.
So basically, when you attach the image, it shows a very colorful, vibrant plate that looks very appetizing to most of my patients. As soon as I share that with them, they're like, oh, like that looks like something I can eat, because it's like, it has like guacamole, it has sort of like a pico de gallo style thing with like some pickled jalapenos and like a little lettuce with some lime. And then there's like frijolitos, pollo, and like 2 corn tortillas. Yeah. So it looks abundant, it looks colorful, it looks appetizing, but most importantly, it looks like, it looks approachable.
Yes.
You know?
Is it me or am I playing with my mind, girl? Because I feel like now that I've been paying attention more and kind of broadening my options, when I eat, no me siento pesada. I feel like I'm full. And sometimes I don't even finish like the full on plate. I'm like halfway done with my veggies and you know, I'll eat like maybe, I don't know, my meats. And then I'm like, I'm satisfied. Like, yeah, I don't need to finish the plate. And when I finish, I don't feel sleepy. I don't feel tired. I don't feel like, oh my God, I'm done with my day. And before, I used to really like feel like bloated. I would get sleepy. I would always take a nap afterwards.
Yeah.
No energy whatsoever. Pero la pizza estaba buena. You know what I mean? But I even found...
That's the goal. Satisfied, not full.
Yes. And where you're not tired. You guys, it feels amazing to eat and not feel tired.
Exactly. And I think that's where like mindful eating plays a role. And I'm super excited to, you know, to hopefully have another ebook for mindful eating. My plan is to have like, so, and before I keep going, I want to say like ebooks are so much more approachable than like an actual book. So I know a lot of people are asking me like, well, why is it not hardcover? And honestly, like, if it was a hardcover, it wouldn't be as affordable for a lot of the people that the community that I have in mind. Number 2, right now, I'm thinking of accessibility and I'm playing around with ebooks because I love the idea that you can have it on your phone, you can have it on your iPad, and you can click. Like every recipe has a video. So there's like a little, you know, emoji type deal that has like a little like reel thing, and then you click it. And it takes you to the video. So you read the recipe, so you kind of know what the steps are, and then you watch it, and it just makes it so easy so that a lot of people don't really have to keep going back and forth. They're like, oh my gosh, like that clicked in my mind, and I kind of just started making it after I got the measurements. So I love ebooks for that reason, and I've been getting lots of like good feedback for that. And I really, sorry, go ahead.
No, that is 100% true, you guys, because since my parents are healthy eaters, you know, they're always looking for like new recipes, right? Like my dad didn't know that there was like oyster mushrooms per se, como para hacer taquitos and stuff like that. And so I'm like, you still, even though you're a vegan, dad, like you still need your nutrients. So now let's find like plants. And so I help them, you know, sometimes to look up recipes and stuff. But I've been able to go over to their house with your ebook on my iPad and just be like, look, let's try this today. And it's so easy. I don't have to carry around a book with me. It's everything's in, you know, in the phone or the iPad. There's no science to it. So it's super easy, you guys.
So it's like you can always pull it up if you're at a friend's house. It's not like, oh, I forgot the book at home. And I know in the future, like I would love to have like a physical copy of books. And obviously it'll be a bigger version, a super version. But at the moment, I think this is where I want to be. And this is where my community sees, you know, what something that's helpful for them and accessible. So I do want to touch a little bit on mindfulness because you mentioned, you know, I feel satisfied, not full. I have energy. I don't feel the need to take a nap. I could probably go for a walk and maybe clean the kitchen after. And that's mindfulness. I feel like one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, how do I know how much to eat? Like what portions? How many tortillas do I eat per meal? And that's such a difficult question to answer because I would need to have like a whole 45-minute session with you to fully understand who you are, how active you are, what your metabolism looks like, you know, everything to be like, okay, for you, maybe this, you know. But an easier answer to that question would be mindful and pay attention to how your body feels, right? So like eat slower, chew your food more, you know, put your utensil down before you pick the next bite, because sometimes we like put a bite of food in our mouths and then we're already looking for the next one, right? We're already picking the next one. So like putting your utensil down while you chew very well, savor every bite, and then once you swallow, pick up that fork or spoon and then go for the next one. And once, you know, it's so important to not be distracted during your eating. I know we all tend to be on our phones or watching TV or whatever, and that's okay to do sometimes, but trying your best to just not have any distractions while you're eating so that you can really be present and just listen to your body and be like, oh, I'm actually getting full. I don't need to finish this plate, even though for 18 years of my life, I was told that I couldn't leave the table until I finished the plate.
Yes. 100% I have to agree with you because I was noticing that I wasn't even like realizing what I was eating sometimes. You know what I mean? Like empieza la novela, la película, whatever you're watching, and then you grab your snacks and then you're like, what happened to the chips? Where are the chips? Did you grab my chips? And it's like, no, you already finished them. Like you threw it away and you didn't even realize it.
You don't even fully enjoy it.
You don't, you know? You're not enjoying it. You don't realize it. And, you know, and sometimes it's the party bags. And I'm saying it because I've been there, you guys. I really have been there where it's like, holy smacks, like I just ate all that. Oh my God, it's because it was so addicting. I didn't even notice. And so
you're on autopilot, you know?
Yes, automatically. Like you said, you're with the fork and you're already looking for the next bite, but you're not even halfway done chewing this one. Exactly. And so that's something that I have come to realize, that we have to be present. It's so important to be present. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, okay, girl? Because I don't know. I'm not an expert like you. But I feel like mental health is kind of connected to your health. Because when you have stress, that's why, you know, they call it stressful eating. That's why they call it anxiety eating. You know, when you're depressed, sometimes you don't eat at all. You're not giving your body those nutrients. So doing the work, it doesn't only involve, you know, getting the plates, getting the recipes. It also involves working on your mental health, because that also affects how you do things. I started therapy in 2018, and I can say for the first time in my life, Anna, I'm actually conscious of what I'm doing. I'm not just going about life like I'm not on autopilot. No, like I'm actually like recognizing, and you know, I don't have my hangry days anymore because I know that when my body needs to eat and when it doesn't. Y cuando nomás soy mañosa. And that comes to say, you guys, too, something that has really helped me, that has benefited me and my whole entire family, is on grocery days. If it's possible, if not the next morning, I'll do it because it's not always possible. But on grocery days, I get home and I cut all the vegetables, I cut all the veggies, I put them in glass containers and I put them in the fridge. Why? Because when I'm looking for those chips or just to put something in my mouth because I'm anxious, I go and I grab the carrots, I grab the pepino, I grab you can replace those things. Pero if you're overwhelmed or you're not feeling well mentally, spiritually, whatever it is, no te van a dar ganas. Like you're just kind of like...
Exactly. And I think that also helps, you know, having those things prepped and ready to go can help with you just making meals throughout the week because it's like, oh, it's already halfway done. All I have to do is put it in a pan. But to kind of, you know, add a little bit more to the stress, emotional eating type of deal is, like I feel like mental health plays a huge role. And one of the most common coping mechanisms for feeling down or feeling stressed is either not eating or like coping with food. And I feel like coping with food is such a common thing. I deal with that a lot in my patients. I've dealt with it. Like, I feel like I know so many people that have struggled with it. And I think it all boils down to also just wanting something easy that we know is going to give us that instant gratification. And it's familiar. We know we're going to love a cookie. We know we're going to love some chips.
Of course.
You know, instead of trying to see what's really bothering us and trying to, you know, either talk it out or feel it out, we're trying to mask those feelings with a simple pleasure that is easy to access. So I think, you know, going off of that, something I love to have my patients explore is alternative coping mechanisms that are healthier. So, you know, like, you know, the chewing and the instant gratification, that pleasure that we get is sort of like what we want to look for in other things that are healthier, that aren't going to harm us. So for example, everyone is different, but I'm just going to throw some adult coloring books, writing, drawing, painting, yoga, going on a walk, listening to music, doing like, you know, like tapping exercises, or if you have a partner, switching and like giving each other massages. You know, like there's so many breathing exercises, right?
Breathing exercises are no joke, girl. So I knew of nutritionists because I mentioned off air, we talked a little bit before we started recording, you guys. I was telling her I have chronic pancreatitis since I was a year and a half old. I've been battling with this. And that, you know, sometimes we replace certain things with other things. And food can be addicting. Right? But replacing it by something else, you know, of course, we're not saying like drugs or alcohol because that could be addicting too.
A healthier coping mechanism.
But a healthier coping mechanism. And so they would tell me breathing. And I was like, girl, I'm like 10 or 12. And I'm like, of course I breathe. Like, that's so stupid. Like, that is so dumb. And now as an adult, when I went back into, to see my therapist, because then I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at 32. She was like, have you ever tried breathing techniques? And I was like, oh, here she goes with her stupid breathing techniques. Like, I know how to breathe, okay? Otherwise, I would be dead by now. And she's like, no, Maribel, like, okay, let's, you know, and she even put me like in a class that was like cognitive behavioral therapy. And they teach you like how to breathe, like to calm down, to go to sleep, to relax. Like there's different type of breathings, you guys. Like,
yeah, there is.
Life-changing, girl. Life-changing for me. Because
how do you feel after a breathing exercise?
Oh my God, I feel so relaxed.
It relaxes so much.
And the fact that I don't have to take melatonin, or I don't have to take something to put myself to sleep, because even though it's supposed to be, you know, they sell it at Sprouts, so it's healthy, you know, there's something of it that's not healthy because it's putting you to sleep. So if you can avoid putting that into your body, because our body is already fighting with so much, try breathing exercises. And I know it sounds so stupid, you guys. It sounds ridiculous, but it's so true.
Well, you know what I've heard some people compare it to?
What do they compare it to?
Smoking cigarettes.
Really?
And not in a negative way. You know how people, like, let's say, you know, you I don't know if you've ever known someone that smokes cigarettes, but let's say something happens and they become a little stressed. Oh, I need a cigarette. You know, they go outside and they smoke a cigarette. And it's funny because at first I was like, well, that's weird. But then if you really think about it, they're inhaling, they're exhaling, they are focusing on something simple and something doable, something realistic, which is literally just breathing. And of course, there's the tobacco portion, which obviously is a different story. Yes. But the act of breathing, the act of stepping outside, right? Like every time I have my patients tell me, like, you know, I just can't, sometimes I don't know what to do when I find myself about to binge eat or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that I tell them to do is like pause, just stop what you're doing and remove yourself from that environment, whether it means, you know, like first opportunity would be to step outside if you're able to. Mm-hmm. Go outside, just get out of the house or go to another room. If you can't do anything like that, splash your face with some water, you know, just get out of that environment. And then take 10 deep breaths, try to count, you know, like while you're inhaling, pause, and then exhale. And it makes such a difference because you're sort of, you know, you're disconnecting, or you're sort of interfering with that anxiety that's building up, or that stress that's like, you know, slowly just you're like cutting it. Mm-hmm. And you're like breaking it apart, which, you know, it's such an important thing to do while you're in this sort of anxious, stressed state. Mm-hmm. So once you've done like the 10 breathing exercises, something that I always follow up with is like, you know, take your time and just ask yourself how you're feeling, what you're feeling, and what you need at this moment. What is it that you actually need? Right? Like,
yes. Like your thoughts, walk yourself through it. Yeah. Walk yourself through those emotions. That is so important. Oh my God, I love this. Oh my God, I love you, Anna. It's so important. And you guys, you know, for those of you that are listening, you might say like, okay, this is so stupid. Like, this is not going to work. But I challenge you to look up on YouTube, something that's free. Look up on YouTube, mm-hmm. breathing techniques and how to like center yourself. Another thing that I use a lot, I do have like a little yard. It's very small, but I have grass in it. And what I do, usually I'm barefoot in my house. So I'll walk outside and I'll step on the grass. And I'll just try to center myself that way. Especially when I'm mad at my husband. I'm mad at my husband. I'm like,
yep. And you gotta ground yourself.
You ground yourself. You put your feet on the ground and you're like, okay, it helps, you guys. It sounds so simple because it is very simple, but it helps. And I feel like sometimes there's so much going on in the world and in our daily lives, we can become overwhelmed. But yes. I love everything that you're saying because I agree 100%, girl.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that you practice breathing and grounding. And I think it's so important. The only thing is like remembering to do so, or like getting into the habit of it, because it's so easy for us to tell you guys, just, start breathing and do breathing exercises. But you have to put the plan into action, right? So what that means is like maybe setting an alarm just to kind of like get into the habit of it. Obviously, at that moment in time, you might not need it. But what I recommend is after work or like after school, whatever type of routine you have, when you do that change, that like for me, it's like from seeing patients to having dinner with my husband and being home, right? Like sometimes that energy from work is sort of hard to shake off.
Yes.
And basically like bridging those transitions. So like that transition, that after work transition to home, take 5 minutes or less. Like it could literally be 2-3 minutes, set your alarm because you know what time you're going to be off, and just do some breathing exercises, because chances are when you do need them, it's going to be hard to remember to do them because you're not in, and you didn't get into the habit of doing them.
Yes. And that kind of reminds me of movies, when like the husband gets home and he's in the car taking forever because he's just like letting it out in the car before he walks home, or he walks into the home. I'm sorry. That's what she's talking about, you guys. Wherever you're coming from, whatever takes your energy, because any activity that we do can take our energy, right? When you're transitioning, it's so important to give yourself that grace to be like, okay, I'm walking into this now role, right? Like if we're parents, when we're coming from work, where we're coming from school, wherever we're coming from, to being the mom. Before you become mom again, give yourself that grace period to kind of prepare your body to be mindful at the moment. And I love that. I never even thought of that. I love that. I
love how we transitioned from healthy eating and nutrition to mental health, but it's so connected, you guys. It's much more connected. And this is why I feel like, yes, I'm, as a personal interest, I love, discovering mental health, but it doesn't mean that I don't apply it at work, because I work with a lot of patients that have stress eating, binge eating disorders, general eating disorders, so much going on. So this is something that we implement. So remember that when you are changing something as easy as nutrition, it's not as simple as going on a diet. You always want to ask yourself, like, am I mentally ready to start a quote unquote diet? Or what's, you just want to be fully present. You want to be fully in it and prepared. So I think this was actually such a great connection that we made. Yes. And just, transitioning it from nutrition and how to stay healthy and eat healthy, but also the other parts of it, because it's so easy to tell people, yes, eat this or eat like this, but it's how do they actually put that into action?
And that's why you see a lot of disconnect, right? I've had family members that have had the gastro bypass or the sleeve or, liposuction, or they're constantly getting some type of cosmetic procedure. I even had an aunt that did the balloon thing. And they're not successful. They're successful for a year, 2 years, when everything's brand new. You're kind of in that newlywed stage because you feel wonderful. But then you go back into real life and you're dealing with the same thing, and then you fail at it. And that's why there's such a high rate of failure with those surgeries, because people think it's just eating. No, there's so much more behind it that you need to take care of. And so
thank you for saying that. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I love that you know that, because it's so difficult to explain this to just anyone, right? Because there's a lot of people that desire, they really want these surgeries. They want the medications. Now, what's the trend on on all social medias, what's the medication that everyone's using?
We won't say it because we don't want to promote it, but
I'm not going to promote it. But there's always a weight loss medication. There's always a quick fix. And I understand the desirability or like the want of like wanting like a quick fix, but it's never going to work. It's always going to come back stronger. 99% of the time we're going to gain that weight back and more. And I think, you speaking on this is so important because it is. It's like, these surgeries, it's not like they tell you, hey, like, let's do this. Let's go through this process first to make sure that you're ready for it. I've never gotten a pre-op, bariatric surgery patient. It's always after. It's always a year or two after when they've started gaining that weight back. And then when I see them, I'm like, oh, you're stress eating, you're binge eating. You never learned to eat portions, and now you're having Starbucks Frappuccinos every day.
and it's like, that's not okay. Like, and the reason why I think I have knowledge on that is because I've seen family members go through it. And not only are you spending dumb, stupid money on this because of a quick fix, you're trying to put like a Band-Aid on a wound, right? Without washing it, without cleaning it, without nothing. But then also, like, thinking about it is like, girl, you're putting your body through trauma.
Yep. Irreversible for the most part. Some of it is irreversible or hard to reverse. And think about like just having your stomach cut into like into the smallest stomach ever, and all it's doing to you is essentially starving you in a way that, like, yeah, you might get full fast, right? Because you don't really have the capacity to withhold the correct amount of food, essentially. So it is basically just starving you. What does that mean? It means that eventually, like, think about the mental and the physical connection there. The mental connection, it's like wanting more nutrients, wanting more of this, but then the body is like, this is all we're getting. So it creates such an unhealthy relationship with food, with your mental health. And there might be some good candidates, but for the most part, it is such a scary topic because it is essentially just adjusting your body to starve itself in an easier way.
We have a friend, my husband and I shouldn't say too much. I was going to say where we know him from, but we know a friend, and he's actually a plastic surgeon in Tijuana. And he does liposuction, tummy tucks. He does all of that, right? And he always tells me, he goes, I know this is my profession. He goes, but you know how I feel every time that I have to operate on somebody, especially when they're just coming for like a quick fix, and I know that they're not making any lifestyle changes, because he'll talk to them and, he'll talk to them about portions and have you changed your diet. And he actually has them go and sit with a psychologist and like try to see if they're like mentally ready to go through all that, because it is something trauma that you're giving your body. And he's like, I feel like most people don't realize that they're mutilating their body. Yeah,
that's the right word.
Girl, when he said that to me, I was like, shooketh. Yeah. I was like, wait, what? And then he goes,
mutilating is the correct term, actually.
He was like, you're mutilating your body. You're like, you just said it, like you're chopping it up. For what? If you haven't worked on your health, like your mental health, and you haven't worked on your habits, because these are habits that we have, you guys, and unfortunately sometimes they're passed down to us, but that doesn't mean that we have to keep on carrying them on. And so when he said that to me, I was like, okay, I've seen my family members like fail, right? Because they never addressed what the actual problem was. And now he's telling me it's mutilating. And, with this new medication that's going around, it's used for diabetes. I have chronic pancreatitis. I'm not going to put my health at risk to fit into a size 5.
Exactly.
I mean, that's where the self-love, the meditating, that's where all that like comes into place.
Yes. Thank you. And I think it's so important that you mentioned that the mental health part of it, because if we were to do let's say a study on just, and they don't do this, and because there's no funding for this. If they were to do a study on all the, the most overweight people, like the highest BMI or whatever, and they were to do a full assessment of their mental health and any type of disordered eating that they have, I can almost assure you that it's high risk. Yeah. They have binge eating disorder, emotional disorder. They have lots of trauma. People don't just get that big because they love food, no. At least not most. It is usually connected to mental health. And
we have the show, My 600-Pound Life. Girl, when they're sitting down and, and I always say, oh my God, like, who touched this person? Who hurt them? Because usually there's a story behind on why they always turn to food, right?
Yeah.
And I can say probably 98% of the people that we've seen on My 600-Pound Life is people that have trauma that have never dealt with it. Because they were never taught to. Why? Because we are a society that has progressed very slowly, and there's topics that we don't touch in families. There's things that go in families that we keep hidden. There's secrets. There's all these things. And so to me, yes, somebody can go out and get your ebook today. And that's the easy part. That's the easy part, you guys. But the reason why I wanted to have Anna on today is for you guys to see a different perspective of it. Not only is there yummy recipes, and there's recipes that can fill you up, that can feel like home. Some of these recipes, girl, like, me acuerdo de mi abuelita, right? Aww. And I'm like, I wish you would, because my grandma had diabetes. My maternal grandmother had diabetes. She didn't die of diabetes, but she had diabetes. My paternal grandmother died because of diabetes.
Sorry.
Yeah, so this is something that happens in our community, but it's so much more deeper than that. It's so much more than the yummy recipes. And I love your account because I feel like sometimes in some of your videos, that's the message that you bring out.
Yeah, I love that. I don't ever want any of you to feel like you have to restrict yourself, because I think that's also a big problem that leads to binging and to overeating. When we tell ourselves we can't have something, let's say it's a brownie, we've been craving a brownie and we're like, no, it's bad, or whatever we tell ourselves, it's unhealthy. That craving doesn't just go away, and life isn't just about eating healthy foods. It's about having a variety of foods and enjoying life. And food is not just nutrition. It's culture, it's family, it's love, it's nutrition, it's everything, right?
It's everything. It's how we keep alive. And I think that's what people miss sometimes. Like I said, it seems so simple. But that's the message that doesn't get through to us. That this is our fuel. We're like cars, right? The car doesn't run without gas. And so I remember my mom telling me when I was younger, she would be like, ¿Qué vas a desayunar? Like, te hago una avenita, te hago pancakes, ¿qué te hago? And I'm like, whatever, mom. Like, I don't care for breakfast. I always eat breakfast, girl. And she'd be like, pues es que el carro no puede andar sin gasolina.
Oh,
that was her thing.
So right, though. That's so right. And it's like, no solamente gasolina, but also like, what else? That we have to tune it up. We have to, clean it. We have to treat it with love. And it's just, that's how we should treat ourselves, our body. And like I said, trying to put foods on a pedestal or trying to label them good or not good is just not right, because in the end, it does make our relationship with food very complicated.
Toxic.
And it toxic. Yeah. So instead of that, focus on the foods and how they make you feel, right? How are you going to feel after you eat the brownie? You might feel really happy, you might feel good, satisfied, maybe not too high energy, maybe a little low energy. It's okay. It's something to keep in mind. Maybe we don't have it every day, but hey, I was really craving a brownie and it made my day today, so that's okay. But I think it's all about balance. So that's the one thing I love to end on is balance. It's all about balance with food in life, work-life balance, right? So I'm sure you've heard it before, but and sometimes it's hard to apply, but I think whenever you find yourself stressing about food or stressing about nutrition or anything in life, just remember, take a deep breath and say balance. It's all about balance, and it's not about being perfect, because honestly, if we strive for perfection, it's not sustainable, it's not realistic, and yeah, we're gonna fail.
Yeah.
To put it
and it's okay to fail. I think a lot of people give up when they give in into their cravings and they're like, oh, can't do it. I can't do it. But challenge yourself. Challenge yourself a little bit every day. I love gancitos. Girl, I could eat a whole box of gancitos. Yes.
Oh my gosh, have you had them frozen?
Yes. I always do frozen, girl. I don't have the regular ones. And they immediately go into the freezer. So, it's easy to open up the freezer right away, get a gansito. I started challenging myself to having like one gansito a week. Mm-hmm. But I kind of like winged myself off of it. And now I can tell you that I'm happy if I eat half of gansito. Because just having the taste and enjoying the piece that I'm eating without just shoving it all in my mouth is so much more satisfactory. I wake up feeling better. I'm not down in energy. And so everything that you're saying is to the point and exactly what I wanted this episode to be like. And hopefully, the listeners are really paying attention and understanding. You guys, if you have like emotional eating, stressful eating, go ahead, try to see if you can get counseling to address those issues. Go to a nutritionist. I know when you were saying about the resources that you had as a little girl, something that my mom always taught me was like, always look for resources. And there's always a nutritionist class, whatever hospital you're in, whatever insurance you have.
Insurance or not. Like I mean, here at my clinic, they're called federally qualified health centers, FQHCs. I'm almost sure that you have one nearby within 5 miles, maybe 10 max. I can almost assure you. And this is a lifesaver for anyone that has no insurance, might have a So I was saying, finding a clinic that takes, no insurance, all insurances, partnership Medi-Cal. And I think one of the most important things is to just ask and find out, because even if you don't have insurance, these types of clinics will take like $15, $20, $25 like per visit, which is so affordable and, attainable for our community or for anyone that's struggling but still wants to get help. Yeah. So definitely reach out, go on the computer, everything's accessible, look up, like FQHC clinic near me.
Yeah.
Or
community clinics. I know growing up, there was community clinics around us, like, because we live in the hood, girl. We lived in the hood. So, there was a lot of community, and they would always have like a diabetes class. And even if you don't have diabetes, it's good to go and learn stuff. Like, I think people, for some reason, don't realize how beneficial these classes are to us, whether we have a certain condition or we don't, because it's all about being preventative, right?
Exactly.
Preventative care is so important. So you don't want to meet Anna after the problem. You want to meet Anna before the problem.
But it's okay if it's after too. We can totally control it. We can reverse even. Every case is different, but it's never too late.
Yes. Anna, well, I thank you so much for your time. I'm super grateful to have met you. And you guys, please go and check her out. Healthy, Simple, Yum. super. I think I'm going to name this podcast that. Because it is, you guys go check out, si eres Mexicana, Latina, whatever, go and check out her recipe. Super easy to work with. Like she said, there's videos that come with it in case you're a visual, not a learner, you know, ¿cómo se dice? I forgot. A visual learner.
Like visual learning instead of like just words.
Yes. Go and check it out. She is amazing, you guys. And if you're not ready for that journey, just keep her on your timeline, because trust me, she's going to inspire you. Anna, thank you so much. This is your platform. Whenever you create another ebook, please feel free. We would love to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that I got to, the honor to be here and to share everything with you. It felt like such a great conversation, and I'm just so happy to have met you, and thank you. I'm honored.
Yes, you got a new friend, girl. I'm in San Diego. You got a new friend.
Oh, not far. No. I might be in San Diego too.
We'll meet up for drinks.
Yeah, why not?
No, but thank you so much, Anna. It was such a pleasure, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Bye. I want to hear your story, or I want to support your small business. To do so, please go ahead and visit embracingmymarkings.com. Thank you for tuning in.